How's it going, hodlers? Welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about what's going on with cryptocurrency, specifically Bitcoin. We are going to talk a little bit about altcoins, maybe some fluttering around here or there, but mainly we're just talking about where the crypto market is right now. Again, kind of recapping from yesterday, I don't think we should be terribly concerned in any way, but we are bouncing off some good levels. We have some nice support where we are, but we will see if we break these lines of support and kind of go down further. In terms of the news first, now we've already discussed this. El Salvador buys more Bitcoin. I want to be careful because I don't think this article has it right, because they say they buy $25 million worth of Bitcoin, when in fact I believe now they own $25 million worth of Bitcoin, so they have a total of 550 Bitcoin. And if my math is right, and this is going to be incredibly embarrassing if my math isn't right, but if my math is right, that's about $25 million. So times roughly, we'll say 47,000 just to round up, and $25 million, almost $26 million. So I'm right. I'm not embarrassed. This article's embarrassed. You're embarrassed, sir, not me. But it's a good lesson to know that articles aren't always going to say the right things, or they're going to just outright lie just for clicks. So they didn't buy $25 million worth of Bitcoin. They own $25 million worth of Bitcoin. Well, I guess technically you could say they bought it, because, you know, you don't know. Nah, whatever. Anyway, let's get into the rest of the news. Cardano's founder, so you all know him as Charles Hoskinson, good old Charlie Hawk. So Charles has said in a recent YouTube video that he congratulates most of the community of Bitcoin's acceptance in El Salvador.
Bitcoin has grown to a point where not only do nation states now take it seriously, today a nation state decided to embrace it at a level of making it legal tender. This is a moment for our entire industry, regardless of whether you live in the Bitcoin sphere or outside of it, in the altcoin sphere, the alternative coin. It is a moment to reflect how far we've gone in 12 years' time, from a single inventor or inventors, small group, inspired by ideas that came a long time ago, from the 1980s to 1990s to the 2000s, to create something that was an experiment, not really intended to succeed, but rather prove a point, to potentially the currency of the world. Right now, the currency of the nation state of El Salvador. It's a pretty remarkable journey if you think about that.
This is actually a big deal. I know people don't really kind of get how big of a deal this is, but I promise you, this is a huge step. One country actually accepting Bitcoin. Businesses and everything else are going to be trading in Bitcoin. Their economy is going to be around this thing, this living amoeba out in the world, because that's all what Bitcoin is. And Bitcoin's not really subject to much change. That's not really agreed upon by most people. So it's intriguing. I see this as more of a social experiment at first, but obviously I know where Bitcoin's going to go. I see the viability in using it for legal tender. Just right now, everything's so volatile. So how does a country like El Salvador stay afloat with the volatility of Bitcoin? If Bitcoin goes through a massive crash, what happens to El Salvador? If Bitcoin pumps really hard, what happens to El Salvador? I think both are very interesting outcomes. I'd be interested to know both. I obviously think the more likely one is eventually, if El Salvador hodls and keeps this legislation and law on the books, then obviously Bitcoin as legal tender is going to be hugely bullish for El Salvador, the country, which I think it's incredible. Even real estate prices in El Salvador is going up because all the Bitcoiners want to move there. And hey, I'm not opposed to that. In other worldly news, Ukraine is on the course to legalize Bitcoin as Parliament passes a second crypto bill. Keep in mind, this isn't making it legal tender, it's legalizing Bitcoin. Even though Ukraine legalizing and bringing it on, if they did ever bring it on as legal tender, say later down the road, I think it would be hugely beneficial for the country. And I think a lot of these countries are going to see huge benefit. Often, and Ukraine is of no exception, and I probably, if I was going to put countries in the same kind of paradigm, I would probably say Ukraine and like Taiwan Taiwan. Maybe Taiwan is a bit of a different stance. The reason why I say these countries are in the same paradigm is because they're both oppressed by another bigger country. 1 second, my chicken burgers are done. Not done, but they needed to be flipped. We're good to go. We're good to go. So ultimately, what I'm trying to say is, because China has a kind of stronghold over Taiwan, Ukraine has had this contentious relationship with Russia. It just kind of goes hand in hand. And the thing that would separate these countries apart or give them some sort of special power in a way is bringing their monetary policy and adopting cryptocurrency and Bitcoin. I firmly believe that because, he who holds the money holds the power. And if you look at most of the problems with Chinese encroachment in a lot of different countries, typically those problems are because China has the money to buy out every other country. We see even John friggin' Cena apologizing in fluent Mandarin to China for saying Taiwan's not a country. That should say it all. So money is power, and in the future, Bitcoin will be power. So ultimately, this doesn't mean that. Now, this is just them legalizing the act of having Bitcoin, not necessarily making it legal tender. It's not the same thing at all. But it is bullish news to see Ukraine finally come to the course of legalizing Bitcoin instead of just banning Bitcoin like China's trying to do continuously. Now, we have Alonzo right around the corner. This is coming out in just a number of days here. More specifically, we have 12th of September. Now, they've been putting out continuous articles and announcements saying that they're getting ready for this launch. Alonzo smart contracts. Now, again, this is the most significant upgrade that's come to Cardano as of late, and I get the frustration that a lot of people have had with Cardano. It moves too slow and all of this, but it's a peer-reviewed process, and often good things are going to take time. That's why I'm okay with waiting for it. So here we are right around the corner. We're going to be doing it right, and we're getting into Alonzo. So this is going to be huge coming through with the Pluto smart contracts capability and everything else. We're going to have a lot of dApps come out for Cardano. We've talked about Sunday Swap. We've talked about Cardex. There's mini Cardano. There's so many other projects that are being shilled to me now. But really, it's going to take some time to fully understand a lot of the different projects. My big thing will be just to be careful. Make sure you're researching whatever you are looking into investing, and just being careful and cautious on what you are putting your money in, your hard-earned money. Again, don't throw away gains for a pump and dump scam or anything like that. I know people get really excited about some projects, one being SafeMoon, and you know what? I'm really sorry if I offend anyone, really am, but SafeMoon's a glorified Ponzi scheme. It is what it is. Just be careful when you're looking into projects. I will never shill a project like that knowingly, but of course, I'm just a guy on the internet, and I make mistakes just like everyone else, and I think you should do your own research when you go into any new project. But obviously, I'm bullish on Cardano, so that is a good safe hold, and it's obviously going to increase over time. But who knows what we'll see on the day of Alonzo. Most likely it's just going to be high volatility to the upside or to the downside. Bitcoin is currently sitting at $46,000. We are looking at the daily chart right now. And the reason why I'm bringing up the daily chart, often we're looking a little bit more long-term, sometimes the weekly chart. The reason why I'm bringing up the daily chart is because we are bumping up at our 200-day moving average. So we are retesting it. So we did test it yesterday on our yesterday candle. Now we are going through it again. Now here's the thing. We have a close in roughly 4 hours. Right now, we have nothing to be concerned about. We could even go low and below this moving average, and we've done that before. So if you look at right here, most recently we had this little dip here. We did go below, we did close below, but we did make it up right in the next day. Now the problem is if we fall below the 200-day moving average and stay below for a couple of days, that'll give us a more resistance essentially at that 200-day. So the longer that we're below it, the harder it is to get a above it. I know that seems simple, seems like a simple concept, but it is true. And the same thing applies for the longer we are above it, the harder it will be for us to smash through that line of support and break down to the downside. So right now we don't have a lot of support because we haven't been above the 200-day. If you look at the 200-day, we came above roughly here, which is maybe not even a month, about a month ago, somewhere around there. It's more or less 25 to 30 candles. So now here we are bouncing up, and we haven't been above that 200-day for long. Not nearly as long as, say, this. Now, we did have a lot of momentum to smash down below the 200-day because of this kind of Wyckoff distribution and then dump. We had a lot of momentum to get below the 200-day moving average, but we stayed below the 200-day moving average for quite a while. We tried to make it up. We didn't quite make it, but we eventually made it back up there. Now we have this point where we could be going down below, or we could hold it. Now, realistically, what are we going to do? Again, I've said numerous times, I'm bearish on Bitcoin until we reach above 52,000. Now, again, I'm not bearish long term. I think Bitcoin's going to do well, and I think we're going to re-engage a bull market. But I am bearish until we hit that 52,000 mark. Until we hit that mark, I can't be bullish. And as long as we are riding this 200-day moving average, we also can't be bullish. If we take a look at other things, because it's not all bearish, because if you look at where we are on the weekly chart, we take a look at our 50-week moving average. Now, we discussed our 50-week moving average before. We actually discussed it in the last video as well, why buying at the 50-week is usually a good buying opportunity, but we're not quite there. We're not quite there. We still have a ways to go. We still have a long ways before we're hitting that 50-week. We are still above our bull market support band. We are kind of retesting it, but realistically, we're not looking too bad. If we do look at our monthly, and looking at our monthly, we haven't really done that much. We haven't lost that much. We're not down a hell of a lot on our monthly. So if we look at our monthly, we're down roughly 3%, give or take, this little candle. So again, we could break lower. We could absolutely break lower here and go down to the downside. I don't think that's going to happen. Maybe this is me putting my foot in my mouth. Now, if we look at, say, previous bull markets and the whole market cycle, so we have here, we're on our September monthly candle. If you look at here, here's another September 2017 monthly candle. So, of course, this actually lines up pretty well with, say, stock to flow. So all you stock to flow boys should be really happy about this, that we had a red candle before that run up in 2017. So, I mean, like, that's still possible. That's still not out of the cards. Highly unlikely in my opinion, but still not out of the cards. So let's talk about previous September months. This September, obviously, we are in the red. If we look at September of 2020, we were in the red right before this bull market, and we had a good month in July and August. Absolutely, it was crazy, going up to like 14K, and then we had that red month in September. Again, we had another big red month in 2019. Again, red month in 2018. Again, red month in 2017. We did have a green month in 2016, and that was followed by a doji month in 2015. And then before then is just like unreliable trading data. So I don't know specifically what it is about September that makes it such a bad month for Bitcoin. I'm not sure. Maybe it's miners. Maybe it's some other external factor in the markets or something that we're not really looking at and we're not really paying attention to. There could be so many other things that could be impacting those prices, but we do know that September is traditionally a bad month looking at previous September months. Usually we are in the red. Right now, I'm not concerned with what Bitcoin's doing. I think most likely we'll just trade level for now, maybe go below our 200-day moving average, maybe go above a little bit, but we're going to fight at this line until finally we can get out of September, hopefully pick up a bull market into 2022. That's personally my prediction. But again, everything's still up in the air. We still have no idea, but we will probably find out in the next couple of months. That's it for me. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, go ahead and give me a like, subscribe to the channel for more crypto news and content, and of course, happy hodling. Oh, here's the chicken burgers. Jane's Chicken Burgers. So good. Happy holiday, everybody.